Hello, Vinny. Hello, Vinny.
Hello, friend.
Hello, friend. Live from Belarus. It's hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Goodbye. In my podcast, there is problem. But, yeah, dude. So, everyone listen. Episode 189. This is my buddy Vinny from work, and we might talk about wine. We might talk about Belarus or whatever the fuck we want to talk about. It's my podcast. Whatever the fuck we want. Yeah.
Like Bam Margera says,
Yeah.
I do whatever the fuck I want.
I do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah, dude. Forrest is going to come on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about Magic the Gathering, because he was showing me that, yeah, he trades cards, dude, and makes like a ton of fucking money.
Yeah, he got me into it for a little while.
Yeah. Because he asked me yesterday, he's like, do you play it? I was like, no, I don't. And he said he was into it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And he's explaining it to me, but then he was showing me like trading, buying and selling them, and I was like, oh, you suave motherfucker.
Yeah,
dude,
he's making a killing off of it. I've made a couple bucks, but nothing
he's
like he
breaking
does.
it in. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. He's gonna be the new Rudy. You ever heard of Rudy?
No.
He used to be like a trader in New York, and he just quit all that and invested all his money into Magic, and he's making bank. So
Jesus Christ, it's
Rudy.
It's for everybody listening. How rude of me, Vinny. Introduce yourself. I'm sorry. I'm a dipshit.
Yeah. My name is Vinny, and sometimes I have this accent, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. And and that's all you fucking need. So That's all you need. I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get, for everyone listening, I forget, no one fucking knows about my personal life. New girl at work, her cousin apparently flies the duplicate of Air Force One, because there's two Air Force Ones, because they always fly together in case one breaks, but it's also so they never know which one the president's in. So if you're going to get a shot off, you don't know. Apparently he flies the other one.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I got really excited because I was like, I'm going to get him on the podcast. And then I realized there's no way in hell that motherfucker can talk about anything he does. That's so highly classified. And I was like, how dumb and naive am I? I'm like, oh, he's going to give me a walkthrough. Like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, Tom. Sure, you dipshit. But, yeah, dude. So, I want to... I mean, we're going to do a million episodes, but I want to pick your brain about, like, because I remember the first day I was working, I met Vinny, and Vinny and I were walking around, and Vinny was just explaining wines to my dumbass. And I'm a moron, because I legitimately always thought that there was red wine and white wine, and just, that was it. And, I thought I thought Pinot Grigio was a brand. Yeah, I was like, man, they are fucking cleaning up. I was like, they are cleaning up. They got a ton of different labels. And you were like, yeah, this is made from this grape. And I was like, I'm too stupid to work here. But, yeah, what makes some more expensive than others? Because, like, obviously there's always better shit, right? So, like,
yeah,
I have, like, an old Xbox 360 in, like, a drawer. And then I've got an Xbox One X behind this laptop. And it costs a lot more, but it's 4K game and 60 frames per second. It's fantastic. Right. Terabyte of memory. So, like, that I get. Hard drives or, better phones. But with wine, for someone like myself that's a pussy and all alcohol tastes gross, what makes a cheap wine? I mean, granted, there's a spectrum, right? Just like my autism. Right. There's a spectrum, right? And it gets better and better and better. But is it linear? Does it actually keep getting better past a certain point? Or does it almost become, I mean, is it like trading cards? Or is it bragging rights, right? It's having a Mercedes with like license plate 0001. It doesn't mean it's faster. But once you get that level of like wealth, that is the bragging right, because everyone else has it. So, yeah. Well, does it actually get better? Like,
I think it gets better as long as you've been established for X amount of time. Like, let's just dive into American wine. So, sure. Like Napa Valley, like brands like Duckhorn, Simi, Josh, they're well established. So location has a lot to do with it. Like, you couldn't make a Chardonnay here. It's not going to taste the same.
Why? Like, tell me that. I don't know any of this. Yeah.
They just need the right growing conditions. A lot of the grapes do better like on hills with, a lot of sun and pretty much year round nice weather.
Mm-hmm.
So Napa's just, I mean, you could plant a couple vines and voila, you could be a mom and pop shop and have a pretty decent wine. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the price of wine, the bigger the better, just because they have more people on staff. They can get really behind the science about it. And, like if you and I just, grew some vines in our backyard, we'd be like, oh, okay, this tastes fine. But
yeah.
we couldn't use beakers and Bunsen burners to make it,
Yeah. Because it always, like, I heard Shannon, like, telling a guy the other day, and I've heard you, and for everyone that's listening that drinks wine, they're like, yeah, Tommy, that's a thing. But I'm a moron, so this is all, like, fantastically amazing to me. When you guys explain it, you're like, this is fruity, or this is smoky, or this is dry, or, like, what the hell does any of that mean? Like, because is it actually, like a fine liquor? Oh, this is an 82 Scotch. Like, to me, it all tastes like lighter fluid, right? And yeah, okay, I've had some in my limited experience. I've had some like wines that are like, that tastes good, but like I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I think they have New World wines and Old World wines. So the New World wines are pretty much out of California, but the Old World wines, for some reason, like in France and Italy, their earth, the soil, everything they use, it's been tilled and grown throughout so many times. Even this guy knows. I mean, I just found him on the streets. I was like, hey, come here, talk wine. You look like you know what you're doing.
He does look like he does. What's up, dog?
Yeah. What's up, dog? What's up? But yeah, like you couldn't do that with California wines just because it's new to us. But in the 14th century, Spain was doing it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And again, like the more pricey it is because the more knowledge that they passed on, and Ben gets a little bit into the action because he's been around. So
now, how much of that stuff is just like proprietary, like almost like Coca-Cola? Like they're not. So it's not just like with. Of course, I'm going to tie it into this with nuclear weapons. It's with nuclear weapons. I think it was Edward Teller or Enrico Fermi. One of them said, any country that's ever tried to build a nuclear weapon has succeeded, and that's because there are set laws. There's like you have to collapse a uranium like a uranium mass, a subcritical mass. You got to get it in. Either use explosives, 360 degrees, gun type, whatever. Point is it's a defined set of laws, and it's like the physics doesn't change. The physics isn't classified. The real trick comes into like how are you going to refine the uranium, and that's why we beat the Germans to it. And that's why we speak English instead of German, right? So with wines, is it as simple as I'm Corporation X and I'm going to go to France and I'm going to buy this plot of land, and if I grow these grapes, I'm now going to be able to compete with the big boys? Or is there some proprietary information? Is it they always harvest on X day, or what we do is we put them in this barrel and we let it age for like is there a little like black magic alchemy to it?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of family secrets too, and like speaking of Germany, like we could try and replicate their Gewürztraminer, but it's never going to taste the same.
Really,
we could buy a lot of land in Germany, but again, like with these big names and stuff like that, they perfected it over the years and years. Got all these notes and to my knowledge, I mean, I'm not over there watching and reading their their diaries, but from what I've heard, and a lot of my friends have told me, like there's a lot going on that we don't know about. I mean, it's like I said, they were bringing it to the kings and queens when it was tasted like shit, and they loved it. But
that's so badass.
Yeah.
For a while, wasn't it like safer to drink alcohol in like the dark ages because it was like the ethanol like killed off all the bacteria?
Yeah, you weren't eating cow shit. So.
Yeah. I was looking at the Kettle One bottle the other day. I was fucking stalking it. Literally from the first guy. It's like the first generation is like it was like 15 like 88 or something.
Right.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. Yeah, it's insane. But even that, like, why does like vodka? How could one vodka be better? Like, that's what I don't get. Is like, because that's not even that. Like, what? Like, I just. Do you understand like how stupid I am when it comes to this? Like, I just fuck it. Let's take it in a completely different direction.
Right.
So Vinny and I are going to produce something called Burr for everyone listening. Burr is going to be the cheapest beer ever produced, and it's going to be targeted at primarily alcoholics and college kids, which are one and the same. But it's going to be people that are they're trying to get the most shit to get fucked up with for the cheapest amount, right?
And the same personalities, by the way.
Exactly. And they're not getting it for the aftertaste. They're not saying you pair this with a steak. No, they're pairing this with, you know, whatever their favorite sorority, right? Of your pair, yeah. And so we were thinking like put it in cuboidal cans for stacking efficiency, right?
Right. And, yeah, cuboidal, like a square.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'd say more of a rectangle, right? Yeah, I'm more of a rectangle, right? Do you think that would be better?
I think it would. Look at the we got that water stuff that's in a
Yeah. That's what I always think though. Is like why wouldn't, because I mean like I was in a fraternity. I was in like Valdosta for like my first 2 years of college, and like I mean there is like an undeniable like no one tries to hide it. There's no like let's pretend like you're going to get the cheap. What can we have we have $1,000. How many 30 packs can we get, right?
Right.
So it all tastes like shit. So that's what I've always wondered is like how come someone hasn't just made the bottom line, right?
Right.
Because you got Natty Light, maybe Keystone. I want to say Steel Can Reserve, right?
Right.
So that's what I've wondered is how come there isn't a like hyper low priced beer?
Hold on 1 second. It's not like a freaking volcano going on.
You're good. Vinny's a busy father.
Go.
So cheapest possible beer.
You, John.
Cheapest possible beer. Let's see.
Let's get back. I'm sorry. Good God, I got freaking Moana in the background. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what. Where's my ship?
Yeah, I don't know what Moana is.
Moana's the kids movie that.
Oh yeah, I don't have kids.
You know, The Rock's in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Rocky's got his own tequila now.
Yeah, no, he sold that.
Huh?
He sold it.
He sold it?
I think so. I might be fake news. Hold on. The Rock tequila. Spoiler alert. Well, that's what I'm gonna do because when the podcast gets big, because I was thinking like, how many people like do you have the Rock's tequila? Like for no other reason than it's the Rock. I mean, brilliant business move. Do you have Michael Jordan's new tequila? Do you have Post Malone's Rosé? Do you have Snoop Dogg's 19 Crimes? Do you have I mean, right? It's all shit like that. No one's Conor McGregor. Didn't he have something?
He had Irish whiskey and what's his face? Kenny Chesney's got his own rum.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like, even Secrets is a huge, for everyone listening, Secrets is a huge bar up here in Maryland. I worked there in 2011. It's one of the biggest bars in the nation, if not like the biggest.
Yeah,
it's
top 10 in the East Coast.
Yeah, I think it has to be higher up than that because they have their own radio station, their own hotel. When I worked there, I worked at bars and colleges, and there'd be like 3-4 of us on staff, right? Like bouncers. When I worked at Secrets, I mean, there'd be like 120 of us connected with. Yeah, I mean, just to put that in perspective, we had earpieces, dude. This is in 2011. We had earpieces. Shit would go down we had waterproof walkie-talkies in our back pockets, and we would literally walk around like fucking Secret Service, and we would just pin people. You'd be like, you see them? Like, I see them. Like, and it just, you'd follow people around. Yeah, it was. I kind of felt like John Wick. I'd be like moving through the crowds, looking at people. The reality is like I didn't look like him at all. They're probably like, who's this fucking faggot dipping through the crowds with a walkie-talkie playing G.I. Joe? But
you shoot him with your squirt gun?
Yeah. Oh, I squirted on him. It's dude. How many times you would just find people boning in the bathrooms, and you'd be like,
oh my God.
Be like, ma'am, sir, can you guys just please stop? But Yeah, I don't really want to go into that.
Are you filming this? We can make some money.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
are you trying to get the Pornhub guy on?
I'm trying to get him on. He's not responding to me. But you know what?
Well, I get his number. I'll call him.
Yeah, sir. I'm an avid user. It's it's about. I've explained this before. It's about a 95% ghost rate with getting potential guests on. It's about a 95% ghost rate with about a 5% response rate, and of that 5%, I'd say 1 of 5 actually do it. But so like Secrets. So that bar, SEA, CRETS, like they have, obviously we carry it. They have all their own liquors. But even that, like there's no, you're not buying Secrets gin or tequila or maybe I'm wrong. Is it like a cut above?
It's pretty damn good because they actually do have like a group of scientists.
Okay,
well, not a group,
all right,
like one or two
all right,
that know what they're talking.
All right, well, fuck me, I'll shut up. But actually, but that might be a perfect example. Yeah, you're right, because that's almost like, as I was saying it, I was going to be like, they don't have it figured out, but I was like, if there was a group that would figure out, what would it be? It would be a thing that's existed for a while. Secrets is like moderately, it's been around for a while, right? He
started like just like a little shack, and then just ended it. Yeah, but like the distillery tour, I was blown away. I was like, I thought just like you did. Like, oh my god, is this like Bowman's vodka? No, they have all the, what is it, pH testing and all the beakers. The birds are in the back.
Yeah. Oh god, the alcohol content's too high. But it's
get fired again.
But it's what's the name of the owner? Do you remember?
What's it? Leighton,
yeah. Because I remember he used to ride up there when I worked there in 2011, and he used to ride up, and he would come at like 5-6 p.m. 6-7 p.m. Sun was setting. I don't know, 7-7:30, and I'm just keep pushing back the time. It was like 8:30. It was like 9 o'clock. It was 1 a.m. It was noon the next day. It was tomorrow. But he would come up, and he had one of those jet boats. They don't actually have a motor that extends or droops down in the water. It's just two fucking jets in the back. So they're built for like rivers in like Alaska, so you can go up streams. I'm not bullshitting. They're meant for, you can use them in as little as 4 inches of water. Like that's what they're. Yeah, but he would always come in on one of those, all metal, and he would always have a couple of just jacked guys next to him, like Glocks on hips, and they'd always walk in. I wonder if am I framing him in a bad light? They used to. No, am I about to get him on like tax evasion?
No, I don't think he does that.
Well, they would come in and they would get huge. Fuck it, I haven't worked there in 9 years. And whatever. No such thing as bad press, unless I get fucking killed by one of his mercenaries. But I have mercenaries too, because I'm buddies with Delta Force guys. Let's go, Leighton. Fucking proxy war. Let's do it. I'm calling you out. But they used to go on. They used to get these big old duffel bags of cash, and then they would just walk out onto the boat, and it was just like you part the sea parted, and it. But I guess if someone had the money, right?
Man, a lot of cash that these kids are carrying around.
Yeah. So if you had, if you're gonna do it, you gotta be walking in there just fucking strapped. Those guys weren't the gay fuckers like us. We had our peace police shirts. No, that was a different tier. That was they would have shot us no differently than anyone else. But
right.
But hi, Leighton, I work here. But
hey, buddy, how's it going?
How you doing, buddy, pal? But did I ever tell you about the fucking psycho I used to see there? There's this dude. No. Holy shit, this guy, he had this like wiry like fro. And this guy had to be in his 70s at the time. This is 2011.
Secrets.
Rail thin, shorter than me. So I don't know, he's like, he had to be like 5'6" maybe. But he would come in. Yeah, he would come in. Big Coke bottle glasses, just thick as fuck, right? And comical. His eyes looked big behind it, but he would come in and he would always have these matching uniforms, whatever it was. He'd have on like he had dance shoes on that looked like bowling shoes, right? So let's say the suit was like the outfit was yellow, so he'd have on these like yellow leather shoes.
Oh God!
He'd have on these shorts that were like 1970s basketball like length. I mean, like a couple inches past the dick, like right there. But they would be matching, like tight yellow. He'd have a big buckle on. He'd have this like skin tight like yellow vest, maybe a long sleeve, but it was all leather. And then he'd have on like a cap, like one of those like like extra read up. What are those fucking caps called? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. But it'd be matching. But if it was red, it would all be red. Whatever it was always like red and yellow, and it was insane. And this guy. So there'd be lines at Secrets. For everyone listening, Google Secrets, Seacrets. It's insane. And so lines, I mean, the lines will go out like 200-300 yards. Like no bullshit. Like people will stand in line for 4 or 5 hours to get in on like a crowded night. This guy I remember the few times I worked near the door, I remember I'd see him because I used to see him like every night I worked. And then like I used to I mean, it's hard not to recognize this guy. And I don't know, like I recognize him. Yeah, no, the dude that looks like a fucking condom. And he would be walking up, but I'd see him walk up and I'd see him walk by the whole line. And I'd be like, man, who is this ballsy motherfucker? And like they were very strict on like the doorman never took cash. It was never like, hey bud, can I go in? Because the doorman would be fired. I mean this place is run like a Russian fucking nightclub. Like they had cops there. The cops would scan the IDs. No fakes got in because it wasn't worth them to lose business. This place, I mean,
even if you give me vodka.
Exactly. Even if you give me vodka, money, no. They don't give a shit. I mean, I'm sure some dark things went on in Secrets. Probably still do. Anyway, this dude would walk up, and I'd be watching him. I'd be like, who is this motherfucker? And he'd walk up, and it wouldn't even be that he went to give cash to the doorman. He would walk by and just hold up his fist, and they'd like fist bump, and he'd walk in, and I'd be like, okay, so this guy knows someone. Like, because it doesn't matter how hot the girls are, maybe if it's 1:30 in the morning, they might get slipped in. But this dude would peak, 8 p.m., music's bouncing, the strip is just packed with people, and this dude would walk by everyone, not make a big deal, just bump. Dressed like a moron.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I want...
Yeah. So I used to see this guy, and the story gets better. So he'd always be on this guy's a teetotaler, didn't drink, didn't smoke, nothing. This guy would go in there. I mean, he had to have been on some stimulant because this guy would dance for 6 hours straight. I mean, dude, this guy was like a Sacha Baron Cohen. That's the best way to describe it. This guy was he a little Borat-ish, not as like absurd, but like I mean, he's like a Sacha Baron Cohen character. That's what he is. That's the best way to describe him. Like a mix between Borat and Bruno, but he would only talk if spoken to. So a little less. Wow. But I mean, a character nonetheless. Like
of course.
And he would go in there and he would dance and just the most. I mean, just nonstop move, just fist bumps. Making sure you can see the outline of his dick. And he'd always have the hottest girls with him.
Wow, disco.
So I'm building all that up to say I asked one of the managers one night. Oh, so I went up to like fist bump him, and this guy doesn't fist bump. He punches you in the knuckles. And I remember it like bruised my hand. I was like, what the fuck? And he'd always have all this bling and shit. And finally, one night, my curiosity got the best of me, and I was like, who the fuck is this like this cracked out dude? You can see his dick print. He's wearing leather clothes, skips the line, and there's dimes just falling all over him. And I was like, who is this guy? Is this Leighton's dad? Like, who is this?
Who is it?
He is, it wouldn't tell me his name, but he doesn't actually oversee the business. He's just in that sweet spot where you own it and you just get the royalties.
Right. That's him.
Maserati. Wow.
He's motherfucker Jones.
Yeah, so this guy is
motherfucker Jones.
Just an heir to it, just didn't have to do shit, Well, that's not correct. I mean, I don't know anything about him. Maybe he worked hard. I don't know. But this dude just... And they're like, yeah, have you ever noticed his belt? And I realized all the color schemes. Oh, and sorry, I forgot the other business he has. Ferrari. So he would always be wearing... I didn't realize the buckles would always be like the car ornaments. And the colors would always be like racing stripes and shit.
Okay.
It all made sense. It all made sense. I was like... This guy must have... I was like, I never saw his car, but I imagine he was dropped off in some like 1960s limited edition, and he's got to just be throwing down cash like it's nothing. And I was like, it all makes so much sense now. But yeah, so I don't know how the fuck we got into that. But that money, so idea. I guess if that makes sense.
Ferrari.
Yeah. I know, right? So, but that guy's money. So if there's that money at Secrets, then yeah, that makes sense. They get a distillery, right?
Understand. Yeah.
And they're not just rebranding. They're probably going to do it right. And yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere, because in 50 years they'll be able to say it's for 50 years, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, it's not just. Now, do you think, in all your knowledge, because you know the answers to all this, do you think that's what like The Rock and like Conor McGregor do, or do you think that's more of a cash grab? I mean, it's all a cash grab, but what isn't a cash grab?
I think they seek out people that know what they're doing, like they've done their research. But Leighton is always there in the mix, just making sure that his stuff tastes good. That's one thing. So I think really that's why he's established, and his liquor's doing as good as it has been over the years. Yeah. So we can't keep it on the shelves, right?
That's true. I had a guy
that's good friends with Leighton, and he couldn't get it anywhere, and we only had a couple of the flavored vodkas left. Yeah. He was like, mother, you know, over, we need it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, if you would have given me a call, I would have put it off underneath the register or whatever. But.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, that guy, yeah, you're right. He did grow Secrets. Because I remember when I was there, they would still be adding shit. And it's just getting, he's not someone that just sat on it. He's there as much as you want to shit on him for having hundreds of millions of dollars, but the dude is there every day. So
he works.
He's there. I remember he was trying to franchise it. When I worked there in 2011, there was a lot of talks about they had a bunch of like posters and like pamphlets they'd hand, like any of us making $6 an hour, we're going to go to the Bahamas location. Oh yeah, okay. I'm 20 years. I worked there when I was 20. When I got off, I was escorted out because I wasn't allowed to be on premises for being 21 until I was 21. I was like, yeah, real loyalty. Like, I'm off work and they'd be like, all right, you need to leave. Like, the other bouncers would like escort me out because I was now an underage person. And I was like, ruthless. Right. You got to respect the ruthlessness, I guess.
Yeah.
Just milk you for, you are labor and nothing more. You are just cattle. Right. You are cattle. But it's
freaking
get out of here. You have done job.
Go away.
You go away. That's where I met my original Bulgarian friends at Secrets. I think I showed
you. Told me about that.
Ivan Georgiev, Georgiev, Ivan G. Look him up on Instagram. He was Mr. Bulgaria. He's 6'4". He's a professional bodybuilder. Every fucking year he has a girlfriend that's somehow harder than the last. And nicest dude in the world. Is the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. It went Arnie, and then Arnie kind of unofficially handed off the torch to The Rock. I think The Rock will one day hand it off to Ivan. Like, no bullshit. And Ivan like went on Arnold's like pilgrimage. He like went to, because he lived in Europe. He was born here. He was born, but he went to like the towns Arnold grew up in, like the order he moved, almost like a sort of Hajj. He went there and he was like, I need to walk in his footsteps. And he's the most intense guy. I love Ivan. I love Ivan so much. He actually came here for one Christmas in 2015. And
did he try to marry a bunch of girls?
What? Yeah. That's the Ivan moves quick. Like, Ivan, there's this beautiful girl that wants to meet you. He's like, I propose. I'll be like, pump the brakes, man. Let's, But at the same time, man, maybe who am I to judge? Maybe that's why he gets what he wants. Is he just fucking? Yeah. He just walks up to girls. He's like, you are a girlfriend now. Okay. But I remember, girls at Secrets, he used to, it really was, like, he'd almost swat them away like flies. Like, it was, and it wasn't a show. He actually was annoyed, because it would just happen so much. I guess after the 40,000th girl, he'd be like, please.
He's all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's freaking barbarian. Ivan the Barbarian.
Yeah. He came down and, no. He entirely believes that he's a reincarnated Viking, and he has a physiology and kinesiology degree. He's a smart guy, but he came down and stayed with me at UGA for a month because he wanted to see an SEC school at Georgia or in America. And I remember he came down. Everyone thought he was like a new freshman running back or something. So he'd be but. I remember we finally taught him, because Ivan was like, the girls were just like, girls that like anyone else would crawl through glass for. Ivan would be like, kind of push him away. And finally, one of my friends down there, Tom, they're like, yeah, Ivan doesn't need these hoes.
No.
Well, I remember Ivan learned that line. And this is back, now it's 2020. Ivan speaks pretty much perfect English now. But it was still butchered. And I remember, so girls would come over and, we'd be at a bar or something. And they'd be like, so where are you from? And he'd be like, but he thought it was all as like formal as no thank you. He would just go, no hoes. He would just go, no hoes, like no hoes, like no thank you, like, no hoes.
No hoes.
no hoes, thank you though, no hoes.
What are you at? I mean,
I'm Ivan, no hoes, no hoes, no hoes. I don't want no hoes, no hoes. But it's so cute, it was go, no hoes. And no, but I mean, downtown Atlanta, he and I went on this Ferris wheel because it was, I guess we're gay as fuck, but we got in this, and then this girl was like, "Can I ride with you?" And I just goes, "No hoes." But
you're like, Ivan, what are you doing?
Yeah, I remember at Secrets. I remember this is back when I was like ripped, and I remember Ivan came up to me, and I'd never met him before. I'd never spoken to him in my life. This was 2011. He barely spoke English. And I remember he came up to me, and almost like I was a jacket at a store. Remember he like picked up my wrist and was like grabbing my bicep and my shoulder, and he's like turning it over, and he was like, "You have good striation, good cut." And he like turned me around, looked at my back. He was like, "Oh, strong latissimus, huh?" And I just remember I was like too scared to do anything. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
My arms off.
He was just picked me up and he looked at me. He was like, "Good," and I was like, "Who are you?" But
too scared, can't move.
Yeah, dude, he's fucking insane. But I remember he and his friends used to walk home at night, and they'd walk like 20 blocks. And one night I was like, "Do you guys just want to ride? Like, I can give you a ride." And I remember they got in, and I played. Actually, we were singing it the other night. I played Scotty Doesn't Know, and
yeah.
And I remember Ivan goes, "Great film, 2004 American film, great film," and I was just like, "Fuck yeah!" And I remember I drove him home, maybe a minute and a half ride, and I remember like we pulled in. I didn't think anything of it, and I remember Ivan like grabbed my arm, and he goes, "We are brothers now."
Oh shit!
Well, it's 9 years later, and we're still friends. But I just looked at me, and he's like, "We are brothers now," and I was like, "Okay." Vinny, if you can't tell. What's up? Yeah, Vinny, if you can't tell, I don't shut the fuck up. You got to butt in. You got to throw bows and come in and talk. Cause
no, man, you're doing good. You're doing good.
I vomit nonstop.
Podcast, like little sissy girls.
Little sissy podcast. But did you see how apparently it came out? It got leaked yesterday that there's a movement within Spotify that they want to start putting trigger warnings on Joe Rogan episodes. I learned
really?
Apparently it'd be like, hey, at 11 minutes and 48 seconds he says faggot, okay? At an hour and 7 minutes and 20 seconds he makes fun of fat girls. Trigger warning, so that if you are one of the affected groups, you don't get triggered. So they're gonna start putting trigger warnings.
This is getting ridiculous, man.
What's the price at which you sell out though? Because he got $100 million.
That would work for me.
Yeah, that's, I always look at it, I'm like, he's selling out. And I'm thinking, if someone was like, we're going to sign Tommy's podcast for $100 million, but no more talking about war. You got to take down the American flag and just all PC stuff.
Wow.
But that's 9 figures. I don't know, man. I might be like, sign me up.
Yeah.
I'll push whatever you want. I'll bring on whatever little Disney star you want. I'll push the new Ford, whatever. But it's a little sad though, right?
Yeah.
It's a little sad to see that happen. I don't know, man. I don't know. Did you see what?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess $100 million though, like, because at what point has it achieved its goal, right? You're doing the thing. But he was, by the time he started the podcast, though, he had just come off Fear Factor, and he said he already had like retirement money.
Right. So it's not about the money.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't.
I don't know, man. Part of me thinks you just got to burn it down. I think you just got to go down swinging.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows, man? Maybe I'll get $100 million and I'll sell out immediately.
Yeah. You don't know until you have that situation.
You don't know until you have money, huh?
If you have money, maybe you buy your own country.
Yeah, maybe own country. You have money, huh? Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. Do you think Rogan's gonna create his own liquor?
He should.
Do you think he's at that point?
People, yeah. Why not?
I feel like there's almost a threshold you have to get to, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think
maybe he should make his own liquor. Like when I was in college, I made my own. It was for the fall. I made my own apple cinnamon wine. I didn't do it right because it was my first time like getting into wine. Yeah. So it had like chunks in it, but it's like my little garnish.
Hey man. Isn't it? Don't they make wine in toilets in jail? Isn't there like toilet wine?
Yeah. You can make it anywhere. Just gotta ferment, get the right yeast and sugar.
So do you have to use grapes?
No, you can make it with anything that's edible. Really?
Why is it?
Actually, rose. So we had like a challenge who had the best wine, and that was kind of like a part of the final exam. And a lot of people like didn't take the time to stir and use the what's it called? I can't remember the technical term. It was like a little strainer where you take all the excess stuff that's at the top out. So a lot of their wines turn to vinegar, but you can actually turn that into brandy.
Okay.
And there's behind that, and we actually tried the brandy that some of the misfit kids that didn't come in and do it right. We turned their crap into brandy. It was really good.
How do you turn it into brandy? What is brandy?
You basically you'll heat up the vinegar wine, and you have to have like the special beakers, and it basically drips. When it evaporates, it's at such a high alcohol percentage. It's like so wine is 16% alcohol. This will like double that. So it's, or triple it. So it's like 50%.
Okay. So
similar to moonshine. I haven't actually been in the backyard trying to make my own moonshine, but
my friend made moonshine in Georgia. My friend from the deep south.
The deep south.
No, the deep south. Like.
Yeah, that's don't get.
I mean, like his grandpa was like in the KKK, like straight up, like. I mean, like playing the banjo. But I remember, I remember Grant brought up moonshine when I had transferred to UGA. I remember he came up and brought it up. Tommy, I'm coming up this weekend. I was like, well, I guess you're coming up this weekend.
Yeah. Just say, could you text that to me?
Yeah. I'm already on my way. I'll be there in an hour. I'm like, well.
I'm what you might get.
I'm just getting. Yeah, I guess Grant's sleeping on my couch this weekend. I'm fucking all right. But I remember he brought these mason jars of moonshine, and I was like,
oh shit.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, like okay, it might have methanol in it. I might go blind, but I was like, okay, let's try it. That was the weirdest thing I had ever had in my life.
Yeah,
because, well, no, it's still like a head scratcher to this day. Because it didn't taste like alcohol. And I don't mean like it was well mixed, like a nice girly drink or something. Because even the sweetest girly drinks, like you're still going to get that like, that bite of vodka or something.
Yeah, right.
You wouldn't know. I mean, there was nothing. I don't mean there was little. I meant there was nothing. Yeah. It tasted hot. But it didn't taste like it. And so he had one with like an apple in it. He had one with a peach, and I think he had one with a so it had that flavor. But dude, it just tasted like lukewarm water with flavor.
Wow.
And I remember it was the weirdest thing because I thought he was fucking with me. I was like, Grant, this isn't alcohol. I remember like four like big guys drank like a little mason jar. 20 minutes later, we were like arm in arm. We were like singing songs. One of us was puking, like didn't even make it to the game, passed out at noon. It was like getting hit by a fucking freight train. And my fifth friend, David, I remember he ate the apple.
Oh, God.
And like 30 minutes later was just blackout drunk. It was just, yeah. But that was weird because I'd never had anything like that in my life. I've never had anything like since. And it was just heat. It's the only way I can describe it. But, yeah, I don't know why I brought that up. But,
Yeah, no, that's a good story.
Yeah,
it's like the time my buddy went over to Europe and kind of like Euro trip. He brought back a bottle of absinthe.
Oh my god,
the real stuff. Like we sell the knockoff brand at our liquor store.
Yeah.
There's your chance to get your plug.
Yeah. But if he wants to sponsor me, he can. Nobody gets a free plug, dude. Nobody gets a free plug.
That's right.
I got someone emailed me the other day, and they're like, "Hey, like we'd like to like sponsor your podcast. It's like a Go Vote initiative." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like what is like?" Because like the cheapest you can go is like a penny per view, which is still more than anything I've ever gotten. But I was like, okay, cool. They're like, well, it's actually $0. It's a charity thing. I just blocked the email. I was like, fuck off.
Like 0.0001?
0.00. No, fuck off. Yeah, man. I still don't know how I'm gonna make money on this.
There's got to be. I mean, you find ask Ivan. He got you back. Ivan probably his own vodka. We tried it on the show. While bodybuilding.
Yeah, while bodybuilding vodka. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like all the, like the liquors and shit, because they all do seem to be like. Is that just a move where you just get your own liquor at a certain amount of wealth? I know I keep circling back to it, but it's just something that kind of fascinates me, because it's all people that have nothing to do with liquor.
Right. Yeah.
It just seems like if you put your name on it, right?
Yeah, it still gotta taste good though.
Yeah.
Like Deuce AZ, he picked that. We couldn't keep that in stock this summer.
What is it?
Deuce. It's cognac. It's like better than Hennessy.
All right. Fair enough.
But yeah, like we couldn't keep it on the shelf. Now we got it, and of course it's the end of the summer.
Yeah.
Nobody's here to drink it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe that's what I need to do. What?
It's a brandy, like top of the line brandy. So he did his research too. It tastes great.
What's your favorite wine?
My favorite, well, in the summer I like a very heavy, oaky, buttery Chardonnay, and that I will get from California. In the winter, it's going to either be between a hard-hitting Cabernet from California or like a French red, because honestly, like anything you get from France, even table wine, it's the best. Like Spain, Italy, they could say what they, and Italian. I love Italian wines, but nothing I've ever had from France, red blends, have been anything but great. So,
why is that though? Like
I was saying, man, they've been just doing it for years.
But you, a wine drinker, you can actually tell a difference.
Oh yeah.
But what is it? Is it just, does it taste better going down? Do you not get hungover? Is it
everything? You don't get hungover. You get the great taste in the front of the tongue, after the back of the tongue. It's just smooth, man. It's just very smooth. The smoother the better. If there's a giant bite or you get, headaches the next day, it's crap. It's crap wine. There's too many sulfates and
what's like
pesticides.
what's like the what's like the best wine, and not like collector's item wine? Like what's like the best? Like what do you drink when you've got fuck you money?
When you got fuck you, oh man.
Yeah. Is there, and I don't mean like a year, like a nice classic something.
Right.
Is there like a brand? Is there yeah.
Italy actually succeeds in this one. It'd be like a 1994 Amarone or Amarone. They just get better with age. You can either use a decanter or just, take the cork out and wait 5 minutes and then drink. It's hard to describe. Like a lot of people say, oh, I taste mud or I taste hay or whatever, but that's just, it's your taste buds. Just you get like this essence, and everybody tastes differently. But for some reason, the old world wines that have been aged, properly in somebody's cellar for years, they're amazing. Why? And you can't do that with.
Why is that though? What happens in aging? Is it not something that you could artificially enhance? Because it's all just chemical processes. So like what is it that happens in the aging process?
Well, there's science to it. It's above me, but like in Italy and Sicily, even they grow their vines on the sides of old volcanoes, just because of that deep, earthy, ashy dirt soil. Like, I don't know. There's something behind it that just, for some reason, they can just get better with age.
But it couldn't be like artificially expedited. It couldn't be.
There's a possibility. I mean, I'm sure you can throw some phosphorus N1G color red in there, but I don't know. I've never tapped into that side.
I feel like if it was possible, someone would have figured it out and already made.
I bet you people have been trying to.
Because that's not a cheap process. That's not a cheap industry, is what I mean.
No, and you can't, like you were saying, like you can get a plot of land over there, but who's going to work it?
Yeah.
So the closest thing we got, I think, is California, and it's on the north, southeast, western hemisphere, right? It's like facing that way.
Yeah, it's facing that way. Could you do? What if you got sunlight, like nonstop sunlight, but it was freezing cold? Well, never mind, I wouldn't grow then. But I was thinking like top of Mount Everest, because I mean, there's nothing can possibly cast a shadow on it. It is the thing that casts the shadow, right? But what the fuck would grow up there?
If you got like a greenhouse that's like heated or something, maybe. But who the fuck work there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'd have to have fuck you money. That'd be something like Bezos would set up.
And it could work. It could work because that's probably the right.
Mars. Do you think there's going to be wine on Mars? Do you think they're going to develop a Martian soil and then fly that shit back?
Hell yeah. That's wine, bro.
That will happen. That's my prediction. That is a flex. There'll be Martian wine.
Right. You drink it and you start floating.
Yeah, fuck you, Vinny. There will be
play basketball after or drink the marshmallow Mars wine.
Do you think they'll grow pot on Mars?
Maybe.
I mean, I feel like you have to.
You have to do something. It's untapped potential right there, bro.
Do you think we're going to see that in our lifetimes? Do you think we're going to see Mars? I don't mean like physically be there. I mean, do you think that we're going to get there, like humanity?
If we talk to the aliens that have, been frequenting the land, maybe.
Do you mean the UFOs coming here?
Yeah, they've been frequenting.
They have been, and it's kind of creepy that it's been happening more and more and more. But isn't that weird that like the Pentagon can release like a statement that says like these are unidentified flying objects, and
we got so much shit going on right now. People are like, meh.
That's what I keep thinking of. It's like it almost feels like it's such a weird thing because like
it's a real feeling.
There's a New York Times headline that says we have recovered craft not of this world,
right?
And it just kind of went under the radar.
I'm hyped about it, man. I think but if we can tap into our subconscious, man, sky's the limit.
What do you mean?
So, like my friend, she wrote a book, and it's probably coming out soon. Yeah, man, like there's stuff out there, like they say that we only use 10% of the brain. Yeah. Well, I think that's probably pretty
generous.
Yeah, pretty generous. So if you could tap into that side that your anxiety, anger, your mind's going 100 miles an hour, and you can't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking A. Look at Phenomenon. I mean, that's kind of a off the topic, out there kind of movie with was it not Tom Cruise? What's his face? You saw Phenomenon, right? Where he's like floating objects to the woo.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's a book called Phenomena too. But there's. Well, I mean, no, because I'm an avid meditator. That's like how I keep anxiety at bay, and I have for the last 12 years. I mean, if I don't do it, it is. I have a terrible day if I don't do it. It's
Yes, same here.
But I found that I remember there were a couple of days in college where like I would really kind of like really get in. I mean, when I say a couple of days, I mean I'd say less than 10 experiences in the last 12 years. So.
Right.
But there was like 10 separate days. I mean, all of them months apart, years apart, where I mean, it would really. I would like, you know how sometimes you can kind of feel like, even right now, you're probably like tensing a muscle that you're not even thinking about. And now that I think about it, I can kind of like, let you. But when I would get into these meditation sessions, I would hit a point where like 20, 30 minutes in, like more would give way. But it was tenseness that I couldn't consciously control. It was I'd feel my legs kind of really, and it was like taking off a shoe that was a little too tight. It was like and like your breath slows down and you kind of just sink deep. And the thoughts, you stop having thoughts, and there starts to be more and more time in between thoughts. And you kind of go and it gets really quiet, and you just start sinking down. And there are these like waves of like bliss and like peace, and it's just. And you just, it's like when you lay down in bed after a long day, or you get into a hot shower and you just like, you throw back a couple shots and you just sit on the couch for a second. You're like, okay, it's like that. But I remember I would like sink down. But what would happen is that my mind would become so clear. And then when I stopped, there was almost like a little hangover effect, but it was like in a positive way. So for like 10, 20 minutes afterwards, I'd be like really clear, and it would slowly start to fade out. Thoughts would come back in, but then I would get clear, but in more and more and more. And the next thing you know, you're off doing whatever. But I remember going to class right after that happened once. And I remember it was like instant learning. I didn't have to study, but it was like intense shit. It was organic chemistry, but I just remember seeing it slide at a time, and it was just downloading. And I remember just looking at it and was like instant understanding. And like
you have no side distractions.
Nothing. And like and then like and I can't get back to that state. It's the single best state I've ever felt in my life. I remember when these times would happen, I'd be like, it's like the focus of Adderall without the anxiety. It's the calm it's the calm confidence of liquor without the haze and like the sort of delayed sluggishness. It's the like appreciation for color and sound from weed without the anxiety or again the cloudiness. It was
or the munchies.
You're right. But it was just, I just remember I was like, it was all the best things without any of this, and it's completely sober. You're doing it sober.
Going on.
What?
You could stop and appreciate what's going on.
Dude, I remember I would go outside. I mean, it almost probably on these like 10 occasions it happened.
Yeah.
You would go outside. I mean, it would almost bring you to tears just looking at the sun coming through the trees and the warmth on your skin, and you'd hear birds chirping and you'd see the grass moving. It was more intense than any LSD trip I've ever had. It was just, but you're completely clear. You're not tripping. Like,
and you're sober.
You get in your car, go to class. You can function better than you've ever functioned. It really is like it feels to real life what real life feels like to the first like couple seconds of when you first wake up. When you first wake up and you're not dreaming anymore, but you're like, I gotta fucking, and you're like, what is it? It's Monday. I gotta go to work. But that like those like first couple seconds where like even your own room kind of looks a little alien. You're like, what am I doing? You're not entirely sure what's real and what's not. It's or in your dream, you always got to do something. I gotta turn in the assignment. And you never think why. Right. Like what normal life feels to that is what this state feels to normal life. It's everything is just. It's just, I don't know. To me, those experiences, whenever I'd come out of them, I would think like, oh, like that's what heaven is.
Right. Yeah.
Heaven's not just this like euphoric, like you're in the clouds with God. Or maybe it is. I don't know. But I remember thinking, I was like, if heaven was anything, what would it be? And it's something where everything is amazing. Like,
and peace.
Yeah. Total peace. But it's not even like you're high and you're watching a movie and like that's really, you ever get really high, and if you don't smoke weed for 6 months and then you get high and you watch like Star Wars or something, you're whoa. But even that, it ends. It goes away.
Right.
In these states, I remember it's just simple shit. Going in I'd walk into the bathroom and I'd open the door and like how grateful I was. Like, here's this like shaped door with a metal lock forged from shit that's dug out of the ground, and you go turn the sink and you're like, here's fresh, clean water. And it was just like, I remember, I mean, everything was so, like, I'm like, my feet are on a carpet. You're like, oh wow, like I'm not living in the jungle. You're like, I'm in this house and there's, you go outside and there's paved roads and you have a car. Right. You can just sit in a seat and just go. You just got to turn the thing and you just, and it was, and it's like, there is no like wanting or desire. You're just in total ecstatic bliss and appreciation of everything that exists.
Yeah, and it's just extremely hard to get to that level.
It's impossible.
Hard to tap into. It's not impossible.
Not impossible. It's not impossible. It's improbable.
It's not impossible.
It's improbable. Bail out.
But maybe later on when this book goes out, my friend, finally gets everything going, we can do another podcast about it.
Please do. Oh, I still got you for 6 more minutes, so you're not bailing yet, fucker.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good, man.
You ain't going away, boy. Come back here.
Hey. We like pigs.
Read. Tommy, I don't want to do the podcast anymore. I don't care, boy. But, it's, yeah. But, but it's, yeah, it's, but I
have to smoke this vape thing on here. It's just nicotine.
You can do whatever you want. I don't care. It's fine.
I'm trying to get back to the, like you said, the at peace.
Yeah. It's, I've been thinking about that a lot recently because it's in college. I tried to get to that point every day, and
every day
I would try.
Every day.
Oh yeah, when I say every single day, I mean every single day. And I would work out as hard as I could. I had dumbbells. I'd work out in my room, and I kind of found like the harder and the more uncomfortable things I did in life, the more, because it had happened 10 times between August 2010 and May 2013. It happened 10 times. So yeah, roughly twice a year, maybe 3 times a year for 3 or 4 years, and it hasn't happened since. But that also coincides with, I graduated college, lost my brother, and it kind of just went downhill from there. But when I was in college, I would work out every day. I mean, I would diet. I was always hungry, but I would always diet because it would like sharpen my mind. I only took cold showers. Like I was very strict with. I didn't drink. When I did, I went out and partied. But like that was like once a semester. I found when I sort of like hardened everything in life. That's even then it only happened 3 times a year, but versus it hasn't happened once in the last 6 years or 7 years. Right. So it's like when you push closer to that, you're going into the. It's like I think it was like it's like a Buddhist preaching. It's like it's like Master, the fire is hot. How do we escape the heat, or how do we escape the pain of the flames? And the Buddha says, go into the center of the fire. And he says, why? That's where it's worse. And he says, because once you're in there, everything else is less.
Ooh,
so if you sit at that, or if you're in, or Winston Churchill, if you find yourself in hell, if you find yourself going through hell, keep going.
Right.
You got to go through the eye, and it's.
Yeah.
But I would find that, and it was, and on top of that, we're actually going to go a little past 2. Is that all right?
That's cool.
You go like 2:10, because now I'm getting in the zone of talking about this. It's like, you cool with that? 2:10.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap it up.
I'm cool with it, brother.
Yeah. And it's, but, so those were like the 10 experiences that happened. What would happen every day when I meditated was just a general, I would just slow down the thoughts, and I would be like, don't think about, I have 4 more semesters of classes, and then I got to take the MCAT, and I got to get letters of recommendation. I would always just bring it down to, I would do what are we doing today? And I'd be like, I got to study for biochemistry. I got to study for organic chemistry. I got to go take a genetics test. Let's try to read a chapter of evolutionary biology tonight. Get in bed by 9. And I'd be like, I can do that. And that's what meditation did for me. It just slowed it all down. Sometimes I'd meditate multiple times in the day because I'd be doing schoolwork and I can't get this practice problem right. I'm gonna fail calculus. If I don't do well in calculus, this isn't gonna look good on my transcript. And then how am I gonna be a doctor? So I would sit down and I would just be like, just meditate. I'd be like, let's take another stab at it. Like, try it again. Yeah. And so it allowed me to slow things down into just bite-sized pieces. It'd be like you're stocking the shelves at the store, and instead of getting worked up, you'd be like, what am I doing right now? Scan the shelf, 2 of those. That's all you got to do. Yeah, you got to do the whole store, but just break it down into the shelf. Next shelf, 1 of those. Okay. And once you do that, it's always, the thought's going to always be creeping in, but you got to do the whole store, and then you got to get the trash, and just no, what are you doing right now? Just do that. And I had on Dale Comstock several times, Delta Force guy, and he calls that state of mind 10-meter targets.
10-meter targets.
And so he says when you're going out, and I don't know why he said because it's not like I can relate to anything he's ever done, but he's like, when you're going out on 3 days of no sleep and you're in hostile territory and you're on a plausibly denied operation, 2 of your buddies are dead, and you got to get to the extraction zone. And all you're thinking is, I'm not going to get through this. I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to see my kids again. I'm going to be tortured to death. He's like, no, you do 10-meter targets. What's in the next 10 meters? I need to walk up this part of the hill. I need to look at that bush, and if anything comes out, shoot it. And then when you get to that 10 meters, you go, what's in the next 10 meters? And you just do that. And what you don't do is go, okay, well, now I got to do 10-meter targets for the rest of the day. Nope, because that's not a 10-meter target. Right. That thought is not included in the 10-meter target. Well, I still got to do it. Well, that's not a 10-meter. What's in the 10-meter target? Can I go get behind that rock? Go get behind that rock. Next 10-meter target. I need to go up there. I need to check behind that tree. I need to check behind that tree. 10-meter target. Can I reload my ammo? Let's reload my ammo. 10-meter target. I'm going to go up there and get a sip of water. And you just do that. And one of 2 things happen. You either die, someone's going to kill you, in which case it's not your problem anymore. Or 2, you eventually 10-meter target. And then next thing you know, your 10-meter target is, okay, now I'm going to get to the back of the helicopter. And then you go, oh, I survived. He goes, but you just call it 10-meter targets. In Black Hawk Down, the Delta Force commander describes it as, calls it drone mode. And you just go into, there's hot, there's cold, there's pain, there's hunger, there's thirst. He goes, you stop thinking. This is what we're doing. Embrace the suck. This is what we're doing. And so that's what my everyday meditation is. I'd say everyday meditation was a practice on 10-meter target. I didn't know what it was called, but I would say it's 10-meter targets, right? I had those 10 experiences of just bliss, just peace. And I had, on an even lesser scale, I had 3 experiences. And I talked about this to Dr. Eben Alexander last week, that Harvard neurosurgeon I told you about, the one who fell into a coma and went into the afterlife. This is a Harvard neurosurgeon. This isn't some moron like myself or you. Like, hey guys, look at this is top surgeon in the world, right? Harvard brain surgeon. I mean, you don't need to fucking explain it any more than that, right? It's
that's the peak. That is as high as you can get.
Yeah. Harvard brain surgeon. I mean, done. It's the end. It's the end. You win. Here's the trophy. But I talked to him about it, and when I listened to his book, it brought all these thoughts back. So talking to him about it last week, and now talking to you about it, it's coming back more and more. And I would say the last year of my life has probably been the best. From December until now, has probably been the best stretch of time I've had since my brother passed. Well, I mean, for good, 6 years, 6 years it's been chaos, weight gain, drugs, alcohol, anger, hatred, blaming, manipulation, pushing of responsibility. It's everyone else's fault. Woe is me. Right. To admittedly getting better at it. I'd say 2014, 15, and 16 were the worst of those years. Moved home in 16. Yep. I'd say 17 and 18, I was better at it, but I was still doing it a lot. Just, not taking responsibility. Right. 19, even better. And I'd say around December, when I did the first podcast episode, to do the podcast well, I have to sleep well. I have to exercise. It's like pre-med. I got to meditate. If I don't meditate before a podcast, it's a terrible podcast because I start to get anxious and I'm running out of things to say. What am I doing? Yeah. I'm above my parents' garage. Why don't I have a job? Why didn't I go to med school? What are you doing? God damn it. Yeah. But
they took her gifts.
But back to the pile. Back to the pile. Actually, going to the Verizon store this morning, I saw one biker, but I think Bike Week's over. I just saw one, and it was like the lone.
You got to dates mixed up.
I'm getting off track. So, so the last 9-10 months, I've been getting. I've dropped 15 more pounds. I still got about 35 more to drop before I look like a freak again. But sleeping, doing the podcast, you know, it's sort of relearning like responsibility. If a guest doesn't show, like that's my responsibility. That's no one else's. Like, okay, you know, I can't be like, oh, I was supposed to have a cool guest on today. With my favorite quote: "No one cares. Work harder. No one cares. Work harder." Oh, well, I was going to have on this guy today, but he bailed. No one cares. Work harder. Fuck off. Like, it's, you know, so it's been all those things, and having a long-term goal and working towards all those things and meditating every day. And I haven't had one of like the good experiences yet, but I think I'm inching back towards that lifestyle, but even less than those 10 experiences. But again, so talking to Dr. Alexander last week and not talking to you, it's kind of like occurring more in like the storyline that is my life. It's these little like hints, these little like flavors of it coming back. But I had 3 experiences that I've taken psilocybin on 3 occasions and LSD on 1 occasion. I never took them in like a partying way. I took them once a year for 4 years. I always took them by myself or with one other person. It'd always be like turn the phones off, go into the woods, go into where like we, you know, shuttle the blinds and have like a meditation room. We were always trying to like touch something deeper. Not that I have anything against people that take it and rock out. I don't want to be some like gatekeeper of LSD, but like I would always like try to, you know, go in very deep, try to, you know, explore things in myself, you know, think about my brother, think about my future, think about whatever. These 3 experiences I had trump even any psychedelic, and again, completely sober. So unlike those 10 of like bliss, and another way to describe those 10 experiences is like everyday life is 720p like resolution. Those experiences were like 8K. Like 8K, 60 frames per second. Like that's a good. So everything's still the same. It's the same trees. It's the same car, but everything is just the audio's crisp. Instead of like a shitty laptop, you have like studio headphones on. Like that. It's life is an 8K with like high fidelity sound. And and as are your thoughts. That's the only way I can describe it. Your thoughts are also 8K with, if you can use that analogy. Yeah. With these 3 experiences, though, I mean, it sounds like so cliche and so like, but I mean, you really do like leave this place.
You do, yeah.
You go in. The only way I can, the philosopher Alan Watts said it he has a book called The Book, and he wrote it in the 60s, but he describes it at the end. And I remember reading it, and I was like, I felt that. But I remember he describes it. He goes, you will feel very big. Like you feel, like you stop feeling your body, and you almost start to feel. It's like you almost feels like you're touching the ends of the universe. It's just. Wow. You get this feeling. The way I describe it is like it's like being in a gymnasium at night with the lights off and you're dribbling a basketball. You can't see it, but you can just think about. You know, imagine like the bat. Yeah. Like you can almost you get that sensation that you are in infinity. It's whereas those 10 experiences were like waves of bliss and peace. This is beyond that because that is still on the spectrum of bad and good. There's anxiety, there's stress, and then there's bliss and peace. But this is beyond, because that's still a spectrum. This is backing away from that spectrum.
Yeah, right? This is next level stuff.
You go in and when you're there, the only thing is like one thing you think, you don't even think, it just kind of happens, is you go, the only thing I know is that I know I won't be able to think about this when I leave, because it's like, you know, it's like if a dog could temporarily come up to a human and think about long-term relationships and jobs and the economy and COVID and the next laptop, and then it went back down to being a dog.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't be able to, where those 10 experiences are a dog temporarily getting better sight, these 3 experiences are a dog becoming a human and then going back to a dog.
Right.
The dog can't explain it. It has to be in this state to explain it, but it's
words that can just describe.
It's
surreal.
It's
good stuff.
Yeah, it's total. It's total oneness with everything.
Right.
Thoughts completely stop. It's you get the feeling of like, oh, someone must have had this experience and then they wrote it down, and that's why we have the Bible or something. You're like someone touched this.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm talking about, dude?
Absolutely. And like I said, the book that's coming out, you really tap into your subconscious. So it's not easy.
No.
Once you get there, you want more.
Yeah, and then the worst, and then you leave and you go, and Jim Carrey actually talks about meditating, and I remember listening to it. I was like, he's been there, and he says at the end, he goes, and I've been trying to get back for 5 years, and I just can't. And it's
extreme depression, man.
But it's
do it the only way, really.
Yeah, I guess that's something that's kind of gives me peace. Is like, to me, that's heaven, and that's what I think allows me to try to build a podcast and do something crazy like this. Despite all the anxieties, I'm like, I know I'm just going back to that place when I die. So like, might as well go for it. Like,
go big or go home, man.
It's like a video game. Like, might as well play it on expert. Because what happens if it doesn't work? All right, just start over, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's
different video game.
Vinny, we need to do a meditation episode.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Very soon.
Fuck yeah, buddy! Thanks for doing it, man. And
yeah, this is fun.
It's fun as shit, isn't it? It's you just fucking talk to, and it's not live. It's just us. So yeah, when like Forrest asked me, he's like, "What is it like?" I'm like, "It's like us talking behind the cash register, but there's just a camera running."
Right.
Which. Well, I guess there always is a camera running back there, but yeah. Maybe this, maybe. Welcome to the creme. Welcome to the creme. The creme. So on that note, I need to go to work, but
fun.
Yeah, I need to find my shirt too. So thanks for doing it, man. And
appreciate it.
Are you working tomorrow?
Yeah, I will be there tomorrow.
I'm there 9 to 9:40. I'm open to 2.
Me too. Open to 5.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow.
It's getting better.
All right. Woo.
Goodbye, America.
Goodbye.
That came wrong.
I was about to say, what the fuck was that? Goodbye, America. The infidels will get their time.
Thank God it's not live.
You need to work on your outro, Vinny. Goodbye, innocence. Like, all right, man. Goodbye, Empire State Building. All right, Vinny. I'll see you tomorrow, my man.
Yeah.
Peace.
Ciao.
Peace.